God wants you to be wealthy, but what if I told you wealth was never about money? Because it's not, but that's actually part of the game. That's how God designed this game. Here's how you win the game, though. Being wealthy is a state of complete faith and abundance, and as you reach the state, you know you've won. I'm going to give you 2,000 plus years of principles to reach that state, and these are the same principles that were used and created the wisest and wealthiest man to have ever lived, King Solomon. I'm going to give you all these principles in just 3 levels, and as you maximize each of these levels, you win the game. Before we begin, though, let me set some expectations because most people are going to fail before they even begin, and it's because of this. Here's what most people do. There are 3 levels to this, and I'm going to explain what they are, but the 3 levels, what usually happens is people will skip level 1 and go straight to level 2. And the unique thing about this game is you can do whatever you want, but you don't maximize the game and you don't win the game unless you do all 3. Most people will skip level 1, go straight to level number 2, and because they never laid the foundation up with level number 1, they feel like they're trapped at level number 2. Now, the interesting thing is, even though level number 2 is not a bad place to be, this is what we call the rat race. Okay? That might give it away, but this is what we call the rat race. It's not a bad place to be, but because you never lay the foundation, you never escape level number 2. Okay. The other thing, what other people would do, it's not as common, but I've seen it before, is where people will skip level 1 and 2 and go straight to level number 3. When you do this, because you can, what happens is you burn yourself out and you exhaust all your resources, and really what you're doing is you're just crippling yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You're coming from a good place, but now you're crippled because you exhausted yourself and your resources. Okay, so this is the expectation. And we're going to avoid this at all costs. So we need to lay the foundation with level number 1. What is level number 1? Level number 1 is the discovery level. This is where you are discovering the unique God-given talents that you have. And what irritates me the most is anytime I say, you need to find your gifts, you need to find your talents. There's always those couple people who are like, well, I don't have any gifts or talents. God didn't give me any. Scriptures tell us each of you have received some kind of gift from his great variety of gifts. The problem is that you're overcomplicating it. In that same passage in 1 Peter chapter 4, it says, if you have the gift of speaking, then speak. If you're good at helping others, then go and help others with all the strength and energy that God provides. Those are not necessarily unique, but let me give you an example. Speaking, everybody can speak, right? But not everybody's a speaker. My gift, I can give you a personal example. My gift is not speaking. I am 100 times better at speaking today than I was even a couple of months ago. Especially a year from now, I am 100 times better, but my gift is not speaking. I was not naturally good at it. I can still barely speak without having to think and just pause all the time. But my gift was discipline. God gave me, and that doesn't sound super special or unique. It depends on how you use it. It's not unique, but it depends on how you use it. My gift was extreme discipline. God gave me the ability to do the same things every single day that I need to do without feeling the need to do something else. And again, it doesn't sound unique, but being disciplined is what has allowed me to become a better speaker. So my gift is not speaking, my gift was discipline. I knew, though, that I needed to be a better speaker, and so I used my discipline to become a better speaker, right? And so where I'm at today, my ability to speak now is really taken 3 years to get to where I am now. It's taken 3 years, and that took a lot of discipline. I posted video after video after video. I trained my team every single week with the intention of getting better at speaking because I knew I needed it, right? But here's what we're not going to do. We are not going to focus on what we don't have. We're going to put 100% focus on what we do have. And let me put it this way. How selfish do you need to be to receive a gift and complain that you didn't receive that gift? You gave me this, but you didn't give me that. Just use whatever he did give you. You have at least 2 or 3 unique gifts and talents that come naturally to you that you can use to get better at either taking care of yourself or taking care of somebody else. Use them. Identify what they are and get very, very good at them. Because This is a constant process. You don't just find one gift and you're done. That's not how it works. Each of these levels, and not, I mean, forget the levels in this video. Every stage of your life is going to require a different you. You're going to need different skill sets. But where you're at now is where you need to focus. So focus on what you do have so that you can get to the next level. Forget about the next level until you figure out this level. Okay, so this is the foundation and the way Solomon uses. So every level that you hit is going to have new problems. Okay, every level will have sub-levels, and every sub-level is going to have different problems. Choose your problems. I think it was Alex Hormozy who he talks about this. I've heard him talk about it before, and he said every single person, they're worried about, their problem is that they're not in a relationship. As soon as they get into a relationship, they now have relationship problems, right? So no matter what you do, you're going to have problems. So choose what you want your problems to be. And I'm going to give you an actual example from King Solomon. We all know the story of King Solomon, right? But let's dive a little bit more into it. When God appeared to Solomon in his dream, we are witnessing the fact that God gave Solomon a job he was incapable of doing on his own, right? He was incapable of doing the job that he needed to do. And Solomon realized this, which is why he asked for wisdom. We all know that he asked for wisdom, but why? It's because he was incapable of doing what God needed him to do. God gave him the wisdom to do what he needed him to do. It says in 1 Kings chapter 3, "Now, O Lord my God, you have made me king instead of my father David, but I am like a little child who doesn't know his way around." So yes, be aware of what you're not good at, but once you identify what you are good at, God has already given you gifts. Go ahead and use them. Don't complain about what you don't have. Go ahead and use them, because sometimes God will give you a little bit more than you can handle right now, but that's preparing you for later, or it's just helping you develop the current gifts that you have. It serves you in no way to complain about what you don't have. In no way does it serve you or anybody else. So identify what you have and just use it. The second level, why we needed to lay the foundation with level number 1 is because the second level, and I kind of said it already, which is why these overlap, it's a constant process, is the provision level. Now that you have identified your gifts and what your God-given natural talents are, guess what? You're actually going to put them into practice. You can't get better at something you haven't identified yet, which is why you start by identifying, but now you need to actually put it into practice. The only way you're going to get better at these things is by using them. Even though you have the natural talent, does not mean you can never lose it. God gives and God takes away, right? It's more than that, though. If I go to the gym once and I expect the weight, I'm like, man, these weights are too heavy. It's not that the weights are too heavy. I'm just not strong enough. I need to come back every single day and lift those weights, and it becomes easier. Let's say on the opposite side, I am now very strong because I've been coming every single day. What happens if I stop using my arms for a month? Even though I am strong now, if I stop doing that for an entire month, I'm going to lose the ability to lift those same weights that I'm lifting now, right? So identify what your gifts are, put them into practice, and get very, very good at them. This is level number 2, the provision phase. Because believe it or not, God gave you everything you needed to take care of you. You can't take care of other people until you can take care of yourself. But God gave you everything you needed to take care of you. Provide for yourself. Use these gifts that you have and go start a business. Are you a good speaker? Then go find a job that allows you to speak to people. That doesn't mean you need to be a speaker in front of thousands and thousands of people. Maybe you just have one-on-one services. Maybe your gift is helping other people. Literally find any other service job that you can find and get very, very good at it. Find a sales job. You're good at helping people. 2 things that can work. Let's use that. Sales requires you to speak, right? But it also requires you to help people. So even if you're not good at speaking, you're very good at helping people, you can still go into sales. Don't box yourself into one industry. Because God's gifts they're not limited by industry. I'm good at helping people, so I can be a nurse, I could be in sales, I could be a teacher, I could be a real estate agent, I can do what I do now, right? You're not limited by industry, so don't put yourself in a box. These gifts are meant to provide for you. But let's go back to Solomon's story. So Solomon, he had to identify what he was good at and what he wasn't good at, and he asked God to help him with those things. But how did he actually become wealthy? We all know that God gave him wisdom and that he was a very wealthy man, but how did he actually, now we know why he got the wisdom, but how did he produce the wealth? This is how Solomon produced his wealth. When God gave him the wisdom, he used it to take care of himself and his kingdom, but first it came himself, right? Solomon was essentially a consultant for other kings and queens. People heard how wise he was, and they came to listen to his wisdom and get advice from him. Other kings and queens were receiving consultations from him, and he charged a ton of money. I don't know exactly what it is, but the Queen of Sheba, tons and tons of gold just to listen to his wisdom. So if you feel weird, it's like, well, I mean, should I use the gifts God gave me to go make money? Well, why not? What else are you going to use? You're going to use what he's not good at? You're going to do something that you hate for the rest of your life just because you don't want to make money from what God gave you to take care of yourself? He gave you the gifts to use. So use them yet again. How selfish do you need to be to receive a gift and, one, complain that he didn't give you those gifts, but two, to not use it? When's the last time you gave a gift and expected somebody to not use it? Never. That kind of defeats the whole point of a gift. He wants you to use these gifts to take care of you. That's why he gave it to you. So if you feel weird about making money from a gift that God gave you, then don't use it. He'll take it back and he'll give it to somebody else. That's how that works. But how did he get wealthy? He used his wisdom to consult with other people, and they paid him a ton of money to do it. You may not be in the market of other kings and queens to make that much money like Solomon did, but you are in a market to serve somebody else. As a business owner, your only job is to find problems and create solutions, which is serving somebody else. And don't think of it as, well, I might as well help other people. You're in a position of authority. It's not, I might as well. It is your responsibility. When Jesus realized he had all the authority, if you go and read that passage, Jesus realized he had all the authority. And so you know what he did? He used his authority to wash his disciples' feet. It was a cause and effect. Because you are a business owner, you are in a position of authority, you are called to serve. And if we go back to that passage, 1 Peter chapter 4, it says, use these gifts well to serve one another. There are different limbs to a body, but they all serve a purpose. And when everybody's serving each other, nobody is left out. So do your job and take care of somebody else. Use the gift to take care of somebody else. That's a business. You're finding problems and you're creating solutions to take care of somebody else. That's a business. If you feel weird about that, why? You're taking care of somebody else. Yeah, you need to be paid for it. So go and use those gifts. This is the provision level. And this is why people get stuck here in the rat race, because they never identified their gifts. They're just serving somebody else's purpose. You are now an employee for the rest of your life because you never identified your gifts, and you hate your life because somebody else controls your income and your life, and so now you're stuck. If you find what you're good at and go start your own thing, not everybody has to be a business owner, but you can't put yourself in a good position to take care of you until you know what you're actually good at. Or what you actually enjoy. Believe it or not, God didn't create you just to pay some bills and die. He didn't create you to do that. But if you don't lay the foundation with level number 1 and actually continue that process, it's a constant process, you're going to be stuck here forever. This is the rat race. People never escape this level because they don't know what they're good at, and they never enjoy anything because they're not doing anything that they're good at. They're not doing what God called them to do. This is the rat race. Level number 3, however, is where you begin to truly see the state of complete faith and abundance. And actually, that's what the level is called. It's level number 3 is abundance. Now, wealth, the way I define it is, Wealth is your ability to take care of other people without discounting yourself. And when I was giving you that example, setting the expectations, and I was telling you, well, you can skip straight to level number 3, but what's going to happen is you're going to burn out. I'm working with those people right now. I'm working with a couple of people actually who have all this money and they're giving it all away, which is great, but now they have nothing to take care of themselves. And so they're burnt out and they've exhausted all their resources because they were taking care of other people, but they forgot to take care of themselves with level number 2. And let me read you a scripture. Generosity is important. God calls us to be very generous, to be a cheerful giver. He loves a cheerful giver. That's what it tells us. But you can't ignore this passage. And this was brought to my attention by one of my good buddies. It's in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 12 and 13. It says, whatever you give is acceptable if you give it eagerly. So God loves a cheerful giver. That, again, it's showing there. But then it goes on to say, and give accordingly to what you have, not what you don't have. Of course, I don't mean your giving should make life easy for others and hard for yourselves. I only mean that there should be some equality. Let me read that part again. Of course, I don't mean your giving should make life easy for others and hard for yourselves. I only mean that there should be some equality. If you are in a position to take care of yourself and other people, then do it. You have found your state of complete faith and abundance. If giving to somebody else is going to destroy you, God is not calling you to do that. Paul is writing this letter and telling, we're not calling you to destroy your own life for the sake of somebody else's life. That's not abundance. Abundance is your ability to take care of other people without discounting yourself. In order to be truly wealthy, though, and to be able to take care of other people, you need an abundance. You need a surplus. And this is why I'm so big about business, because you cannot produce a surplus if, as an employee, if somebody controls your income and your schedule. Well, maybe that might not be true. You can, if you're very good at saving, maybe you can there. But again, somebody else is controlling your ability to do that. So I don't think it's wrong to be an employee, but if you wanted to produce an abundance and somebody else controls those things, it is now dependent on somebody else. It's not dependent on you anymore. It is not your ability to produce wealth. It's somebody else's ability to produce wealth. And without this abundance, you can't take care of other people. But without taking care of yourself, you'll never even reach level number 3. You can skip straight here, but now you're going to burn yourself out. You're so generous that you destroyed your own life. How generous? I mean, is that really generous, or is it just delusional? And that's a genuine question. Let me know what you think. But you cannot reach this level if you're never producing more. And that sounds weird. I know for a lot of Christians, they have the question, I just received this question, should I keep helping my friends if they keep squandering the money that I give them? I was on a TikTok live stream, and that's what somebody asked me. You need to differentiate what is actually helping them and what is the word I'm looking for, and empowering them to do the wrong thing. There's a specific word for that, but I'm blanking on it. Giving somebody money is not always the best thing that you can do for themselves. That's why there's that saying, teach a man how to fish, give a man a fish, or teach him how to fish. You giving somebody money when they've proven they don't know how to use the money is not helping anybody. It's actually making their situation worse, because you're pushing them, you're constantly giving them the more money to feed their bad habits. In the parable of the talents, where it's that story of the master who's going on a journey, and he has 3 servants who he gives a portion of his wealth to watch over while he's gone. He gives them the wealth according to their ability. That's something, if you haven't heard the story before, the master gives a portion of his wealth to his top 3 servants according to their ability. So equality in this passage is not everybody gets the same. Equality in this, if you take the parable of the talents, is giving them what they can handle. And you're going to have to use your judgment. The best servant, the top servant with the most ability, got the most wealth. The second got the second most wealth. The third got the third most wealth. The first 2 servants, what they did is they took the wealth that they were given and they doubled it. When the master came back to each of them, he said, well done, good and faithful servant. Now I will give you more. You've shown you can use what I gave you. I will give you more now. The third servant, who was given the least amount of wealth, proved why he was given the least amount of wealth. He did nothing with it. He buried it in the dirt where the master did not harvest anything. And when the master came back, he just gave him back exactly what he already received. So he did nothing with it. The master said, you wicked and lazy servant, the least you could have done was put this money in the bank so I could earn some kind of interest. You are wicked and lazy, so he took it away and gave it to the top servant. This was an illustration of the behavior of God, and therefore it's an illustration of how we should behave. God cannot give you something continually if you continue to prove you don't know how to use it. Wealth is a state of complete faith and abundance. So you do need to be generous, but being generous towards somebody who has proven they will not use your resources for good to better their positions is not helping. You're only empowering their bad decisions. If God kept giving, and this is another question I get every time, people are being sarcastic. It's like, well, I prayed for $1 million. Is God going to give it to me? Why haven't I seen it in my bank account yet? Because one, God is not your little genie, but two, you've already proven you don't even know how to use $100. So no, he's not going to give you $1 million. That's not how life works, okay? But as you reach each of these levels, Solomon, I almost forgot to turn it back to Solomon. Solomon, the way he uses, his wealth was always to be used for his kingdom. That's why God gave it to him. That's why he asked for wisdom to take care of God's people. God gave him wealth as well as the wisdom to also take care of his people. In 1 Kings chapter 10, this is how well Solomon took care of his people because he was able to take care of himself first. He took care of his people so well that they stopped counting silver. That's how much silver that they had. It tells us the people of Jerusalem started to treat silver as common stone. If you go outside and pick up a random rock, that's how wealthy they were. That random rock to us was silver for them. That's how wealthy they were. He took care of his people so well they stopped counting silver. He couldn't do that, though, unless he did the first two levels. Okay? And this is a constant process, and we're not going to get into it now, but Solomon, this is a constant process. You don't reach this state and then just stay there for the rest of your life. You continue to win this state. In the very next chapter, in chapter 11, Solomon loses everything, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into that in the next video, but these are more of the intangible steps. This video is brought to you by me. I am my own sponsor. If you would like to put the tangible steps into place and you don't want to do it on your own, feel free to reach out and click the link in my description and fill out an application. You'll meet with me and my team, and we'll help you put these concrete steps in action. These are more the intangibles, but I hope you at least enjoyed it. If you don't want to go fill out that application, I do hope you subscribe and see more of the videos, but I will see you over there in the next ones. All right, bye.